I made a bunch of little changes to organize my sister's life in 2 days, and I struggled. So my sister is a single mom of 2 small children with ADHD. I don't know if anything more needs to be said to give you a vibe. Her life is difficult. She doesn't get much support. It's hard to manage. So if I can design her environment, even in the smallest of ways, to make her day-to-day life easier, I'll be happy. And that is what we're going to be doing. We're going to be making little tweaks to her space that just make her daily routines a little easier. In the words of James Clear, the more disciplined your environment is, the less disciplined you need to be. Don't swim upstream. This is an idea of what Amy's space might look like on an average to messy day. And I'm just gonna be focusing on the kitchen and the lounge room for now. As you can see, a lot of the spots in our house just aren't really doing their job. She has shelving, she has cabinets, but they're not doing anything for her. A lot of her clutter is paper clutter and just other bits and bobs that get left around. The goal of this video isn't to take Amy's space from this to this and do some crazy transformation. I want to make super realistic changes that you guys could also make that aren't excessively expensive, that aren't hard to maintain, that will make life easier. So the first step to organizing your life is creating some kind of plan. So to start organizing Amy's life, we're going to be doing an interview. I have so many questions to ask you. Firstly, let's start with an easy one. What are you always losing, forgetting, unable to find in your life? Just like everything. So here are the kind of questions that you want to be asking yourself. What parts of your routines right now are an absolute pain? What parts of your routines just aren't happening? What do you want to be doing more of, and what do you want to be doing less of? Where do you tend to put stuff? In general, you want to work with where you already naturally put things. If you tend to put your keys on the bench, you might want to get a little key bowl. I can never know Amy as well as Amy knows Amy, so I'm still going to be doing a bit of guesswork. But luckily, when you're organizing your life, you know you so well. You know your routines so well. You know exactly how your little brain works, and that is invaluable information when it comes to getting your space organized. The first thing that we are working on for Amy is her entryway. This is the first thing that she sees when she gets home. It's the last thing she sees when she walks out the door, and right now it's honestly useless, not serving her in any way. So not only are we going to make her entryway a little bit nicer, we're also going to make it more functional. So first I moved everything out of the way, got rid of the piano, did a little vacuum. So this rug will mark out her entryway. At first I was gonna do containers, and I was like, no, let's do a little rug. I'm still a little unsure about this. It probably is more my vibe than it is her vibe. I think she'll like it. I laid down the rug. It does have a little non-slip thing under it, so if you're worried about that. So currently Amy has this coat rack. It's in the middle of everything, and it's obviously not used very well. So we're gonna take that and we're gonna put it at our entryway. So I put down the coat rack that Amy already had on the rug, and I also made a way bigger coat rack, and that is specifically for Amy's stuff. I also painted the rim of this frame white. I just wanted it to go a little better, and I know Amy wouldn't mind. This is where Amy keeps her keys at the moment. It's on this like pin on the wall, and in our little pre-interview she told me that half the time the keys don't ever make it there. It's obviously not where she naturally goes to put her keys, so we're gonna create another space for her keys. So what Amy had at the front door was a set of craft drawers. I replaced that with a different set of drawers that has more like electronics and stuff in it, because that goes alongside the TV. And then on top of it I put this little tray. I also got rid of this guitar case. I don't know why it was on the wall. Wanted it gone. This is our key tray. I'm not sure if Amy will think this is a little too low because Laura might be able to grab her keys. And this is her second inbox. Speaking of getting organized, when it comes to cleaning products, there are a lot out there. It gets overwhelming, it gets expensive, and it also produces so much waste. All those single-use bottles, absolutely wild. Enter Blue End cleaning products. The only kind of products that we should be leaning towards. How it works is you buy a bottle once, the bottles are pretty, they look like this, and you refill forever. There's no plastic waste. You can buy your refills in bulk, or you can set up a little subscription if you want to just set it on autopilot. We know that I love a good subscription to things that you genuinely need, and you can customize the subscription so that it's super convenient for you. So I have the Clean Essentials kit. I use my little yellow bottle literally multiple times a day. And when I am done with my yellow bottle, put in another tablet, keep it going. What a wonderful system. Once you get your little kit, take the bottle that you want to fill first, that you're most excited and passionate about. Fill it with warm or hot water. You want to drop one of the little tablets into the bottle, and then you can pop the nozzle back on once it is fully dissolved. You can use it in pretty much minutes. You don't need to shake it or stir it or do anything elaborate. Blue End is having their biggest sale of the year right now, and now's a pretty good time to stock up for yourself if you want to get more sustainable for next year, or you have some sustainable friends that you know would appreciate the gift. Shop Blue End using the link in my description below. Get your discount, buy your friends and family some sustainable sustainable cleaning kits, get something for yourself. No need to wait until Black Friday. And let's get on with the video. Here's a little look at the before and after of the entryway. I think it looks a lot better, and I do think that it is more functional. Once again, we're not looking for Pinterest perfection. We just are looking for functional and helpful. The next place that we worked on was the kitchen bench. As you can see, this area, just a lot is happening. It tends to be a gathering space for all of the stationery, paper, and bits and bobs. To start, I cleaned off the bench, and what I originally wanted to go for was just a bunch of jars that she could put all of her stationery in. What I like about this is that it is very ADHD friendly and that it's so easy to put things in these jars compared to the jars that she used to have, which look like this. It's open, it's visible, but I just wasn't happy with it. I'm still worried that I made a mistake in doing this, but I ended up getting a set of drawers. These are clear plastic drawers so you can see what's inside them. What I figured is I would have a set of drawers to hold all of the extra bits and pieces, and then just one jar to hold all of the essentials, so that she could grab whatever she needed when she needed it, and if she needed the extras, she could just look in the drawers. We've got Amy's very first in trays. This is where everything should land. Under that we have a bunch of drawers, and they're see-through so she can see exactly what's in them. Then there's just a jar of sort of the basics so that she can grab most of what she needs when she needs it. Amy also had a bunch of like little sweets lying around. They were here, there, and everywhere, and I guess this is just something that happens, so I thought I would give it a space. I popped some tissues here because it felt right. And there isn't really a home for tissues in this space, but there are always tissues around, so I thought giving it a little home would be nice. I did put a little notice board here in case when she is dropping off her papers in the arvo, she wants to remind herself of something. The main thing that we gather here is stationery, tools, and paper. So having the jar of essentials, a place to sort stationery, an inbox, I think it's gonna be really helpful. I really hope it's gonna be helpful. Not too much else has happened here. I've just kind of organized, I've elevated things, and I put this in a box. Here's a bit of a before and an after. So now we have almost like a little home. This is also right near the other entryway. So sometimes she comes through my area, which is the door beside this. So it kind of is another landing space for all of the random stuff, hence the inbox. And in the end, I also used some command strips to stick on these sticky notes to the wall because she's always grabbing and using sticky notes. The next thing that we're working on is paper management. Right now, Amy just has papers like stacked in random places in her house. So something that Amy got a while ago was this little in tray. If you are getting yourself an inbox, don't get yourself anything like this. The reason that I say that is because to put paper in this, it has multiple slots. You have to figure out which slot to put it in first. And also, it's not easy to put paper in this. It sounds so silly, but the tiniest bit of friction will stop you from actually using a tool like this. To put paper in this, you kind of need to work to put it around the right way and then slot it in the right spot. Whereas the kind of inbox that you really want looks more like this. No thinking involved, no needing to slot anything in a certain place, just place it down, kind of like you would just placing it on the bench. So right now, Amy doesn't really have a notice board. She uses her fridge for her notice board. So we're just gonna keep with that because you're better off using what you already naturally go to rather than setting up new fancy ways of doing things. So this is what we started with. Amy had these cube shelves. None of them were really being used or very purposeful. And even on the top, all the stuff that she had wasn't really working for her or helping her. So I got rid of the cube shelves completely and I grabbed this 3-tier shelf that she had. It had some marks on it, so I painted over it. My paint job was very shoddy, but I figured it looked better than the marks. Definitely doesn't look good, but it does look better. Then I sorted through all of Amy's paper to categorize it. So this was actually an accumulation of like 3 different paper piles. Every person is going to have different categories when it comes to their paper. So by divvying up your paper and figuring out your categories, it sort of gets you started on the process of organizing because you can create homes for those categories if you're a person that keeps paper. Amy had categories like photos, procedure manuals, kids artwork, letters that needed actioning, fun printouts, etc. So taking all Amy's piles, sorting them into categories makes it really clear what doesn't have a home. So from there, I added in this big whiteboard to display the kids' artwork and a set of really big drawers to hold her different categories of paper. Alongside the basket that holds the kids' artwork, I figured a big basket would be best for this. Let me walk you through Amy's paper sorting area. Amy wanted a place to put her kids' artwork, so I've got this nice board up here, plenty of magnets here. And this is the fun stuff, lots of printouts. Amy has always been someone who's printed out lots of stuff. So much of the paper clutter around was kids' artwork. So I figured I'd just create a big basket that she could chuck that in. I'm not 100% on these drawers, but right now what we've got is recipes I could create a folder for her recipes, but I just know that it's really hard to motivate yourself to put printed out recipes into nice folders. So I'm just like, let's give it a drawer. Then the next drawer is for procedure manuals. So there's really nothing in there right now, but there is a remote procedure manual because that was in the paper clutter. And then at the bottom, there are photos. Amy always has pictures. Once again, you could organize them into folders, but it's just easier to have a drawer for them. And the likelihood of Amy actually having the time to individually place each photo that she owns in a folder, look. These are dog wipes. And I also put this here. I put the slow cooker there because she literally uses it all the time. And it usually is stored in the cupboard, which is just so painful. It ends up pretty much living on the bench. But I figure if it's in a little bit of an easier to access place, she might put it away more often so that she has a bit more bench space for herself. So you've got her little paper organizing section here. And then you've got the fridge, which is where she puts all of her notices. So literally all of her paper dealings outside of her 2 inboxes are gonna be here. The ideal is she has her inboxes every week or every month. She comes over here, she stands here and she sorts things out into all the boxes and trays. Look, it's an ideal and we're experimenting and we're gonna see how it goes. What I like is that these are really open, that is really open, and we also have a little bin for the junk stuff here. So here's a bit of a before and an after. So if I were to do this over again, I'd actually get 2 sets of the 3-tier shelves. I ended up putting little baskets in the 3-tier shelves, and honestly, that is perfect. It's so open and it makes it so easy to distribute the paper, and drawers just aren't as easy and flowy as the open shelves are. But it's all an experiment and it can also be changed in the future if Amy finds it too difficult to work with. So the next space that I worked on was sort of this random bits and bobs area next to Amy's TV. Right now, as you can see, there was a display cabinet, but it kind of has just turned into an anything cabinet. And this is where the 3-tier shelves came from. And they weren't really doing much where they were. So I emptied everything out. I took all of this stuff away and I replaced it with the 8-cube shelf. Amy talked about how she really wanted to have a bookshelf so that she could read to the kids, and also so that she could have DVDs. For whatever reason, she loves a DVD. And also so she could have books that she could read herself. So I just turned it into a big bookshelf. On the top of the bookshelf, I added 2 little trays. So what I found was that there were lots of shiny things and bits of jewelry that accumulated and they were just scattered everywhere. So I figured, why not create a home for them? And I also created a tray for anything sort of makeup, beauty, because there were a few hair ties lying around as well as lip balm and stuff like that. So in our pre-meeting interview, Amy talked about how she really wants to get back into yoga. She wants to start exercising at home. The thing is, I don't think that she actually knows where her yoga mat is. She doesn't have a stand or a specific space to play her exercise videos. There's so much friction between her and actually doing yoga, and we want to reduce that friction. We want to make it so easy for her to just whip out a little yoga mat, set up her phone, pick a video. That's what we're gonna do. I ended up creating Amy a little exercise basket space right there. And I know if Amy were to exercise, it'd be in front of the TV because I've seen her do it before. So with her yoga mat right there, as well as this little phone stand holder, it'll make it a lot easier and more likely that one day she'll whip out her yoga mat and actually do some yoga. So something that Amy gets overwhelmed with is just generally tidying, which is so understandable, but she really likes Casey Davis's 5 things tidy method. So I got her these baskets and I put labels on them. Baskets, buckets, open containers are really good for, honestly, I think everyone's brain, but also the ADHD brain. I also cleaned off the top of the fridge and I put these 2 containers there and filled them with Amy's plastic bags and shopping bags, because you might have noticed there were a few shopping bags that were lying around, and it's because Amy just doesn't really have a good home for them right now. I also got Amy 2 Amazon Echoes. These are going to read out her calendar every morning and also remind her to do things like take her ADHD medication or just have her lunch. We're gonna get that all set up. And I got her this wake up alarm clock. This is supposed to give you a nice little gradual wake up with the light that turns on slowly of a morning. So obviously in this video, we didn't organize every single aspect of Amy's life. It doesn't look like a Pinterest perfect home, but I do hope that from this video, you can take some ideas for organization into your own home. If you liked this video, the kind of video that you will like is my video on how to organize your life and your space. I'm gonna have that linked on the screen. It talks a lot about the specific strategies that I use to keep my space more organized in a way that works for my brain, which is pretty similar to Amy's brain. So if you're watching this video and you're like, yeah, no, that'd work for me, watch that video too. I appreciate you so much and I'll see you soon.